is back. Your boy's back. Your boy, the one and only Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. Philanthropy and Focus is the name of my program. Philanthropy and Focus was the name of my program before there was a program. I went around telling people for 2 years, hey, man, I'm going to do this radio show where I interview nonprofit executives, and it's going to be called Philanthropy and Focus. And then I walked around telling the whole world for 2 years that I was going to do it. I tell you that story often because I want you to realize, don't walk around telling people you're going to do something, man. Do something, and then they'll see you do it, and you can tell them, hey, I'm doing it, versus I'm going to do it. I just, like within the last 15 minutes, I was texting a friend of mine at a public access TV station here on Long Island. And I went for a tour earlier this week because I want to do a TV show. And I was texting her earlier today and I said, what do we need to do to get started? And she goes, let's just do it. Let's just get started. So soon to come, I'm going to call it the Long Island Nonprofit Show. We're going to do it here on the island, my island, Long Island, Strong Island. And I'm excited about that. Lots more to come. What happened at the end of Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? You know, Charlie has the everlasting gobstopper, and he's going to take the everlasting gobstopper, but he realizes he's a good little boy, and he brings it back, and he gives it to Willy Wonka. And then Willy says, Charlie, you won my whole factory. And then he says, Charlie didn't really understand what's going on. I said, Charlie, remember what happened to the little boy who got everything that he wanted, who got everything he ever wanted? And Charlie says, what happened? He goes, he lived happily ever after. So I encourage you to live happily ever after. Do your thing. The other day, I had a guest who was going to be on the show here and had to reschedule. So as the nonprofit sector connector, I have a lot of relationships. So I reach out to some of my friends. One of my friends in particular, who my guest, Pat Shea, and I were just talking in the virtual green room, is an absolute dynamo. Pat's words, not mine, but I echo them. Heather Edwards, I love you. You're an incredible leader. You're incredible with what you do. Millions of diapers and wipes and period products go into the hands of people who need these products, who don't have access to the resources to get these products. The Allied Foundation's been incredible. I've rented a U-Haul van, not once, but twice. One time I went out and I filled up a bunch of diapers from Heather. And then Heather and I took a van into New York City and we filled up. I think it was like a truck at that point. It was super huge. With Baby Essentials, there was another organization that had hooked us up. And then we were able to give them out to all other organizations. So what happens? I reach out to Heather. I say, Heather, I need your support. I need an incredible guest for this Friday morning. She says, Tommy, I'll do better. I'm going to give you two incredible guests from one incredible organization. Pat Shea, Deirdre Trumpy, here from Mama's House. Good morning, my friends. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. We're doing great.
I love it, Pat. So a couple things, Pat. I gotta say a few things, Pat. First thing is this: I will be later this afternoon heading to Flushing to a place called Citi Field. It wasn't always called Citi Field.
No.
What was it called, Pat?
Shea Stadium.
Was called Shea Stadium. That's right. So, are you connected to that family in any way?
Do you think that I would be begging for money if I was connected to the Shea family?
Well, I hear. Fair enough. Fair enough. Are you here to beg for money, Pat? Is that what this show is about?
I hope so.
I love it. I love that. I love it. Are you Met fans? I need to know.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Deirdre. Okay, good. Yeah. So long-suffering Met fans. It's like a badge of honor, man. It's a badge of honor to be a Met fan. I got to be honest though, I haven't been a very good Met fan this year. Just with 4 kids and softball and baseball and flag football and everything else. Haven't watched a lot of games, but tonight my daughter and I, one of my girls, will be going with her softball crew to the Met game, and I think if we get there early enough, we get to walk around the field and stuff like that. So, needless to say, fired up about that. That's going to be a fun night.
I brought my kids to the Met Stadium and Shea Stadium, and they ran the bases. So they used to have that opportunity. And
I think that's what it is today. I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's what letting them do today. And one time I had both my sons there at another game, and we were able to kind of how do you say the word, finagle? So like I am I'm one of these people. I kind of walk until people say, "Hey, where are you going?" I kind of just keep walking until somebody stops me, and I feel like a little bit about if you don't stop me, I guess it was okay, right? So I was there with my friend Linda Beagle Schulman, who invited I took both my sons. This is back last summer. Linda Beagle Schumann from the Scott J. Beagle Memorial Fund in memory of her son Scott, who tragically was killed in the Parkland shooting down in Florida. Linda is an incredible advocate. If people don't know her, you need to know Linda. She's done so much for children at camp, young people affected by gun violence. I feel a rant coming on. We're going to be at a break before we even get into the show here. So Linda had invited us to the game. I knew some other people. The gang from the Queen's Chamber was up in a suite, so they called me up and said, "Tommy D, why don't you come up?" It was actually Hello Taiwan Day at Citi Field last summer. So at the end, I'm now in the suites, so I'm not in general population. So somehow we end up with the sweet people, like SU, not S. They were sweet either way, Pat. So you get that. This is how the show goes, Pat. This is it. This is just all we do. It's just silliness, and I try to entertain. So I end up with like in a different row with my boys, and we got like let in earlier. Like on the Titanic, where they had like the people who like lived up top on the Titanic, and then the other people, right? So so anyway, here's the rant. So we end up getting, and my boys got to run around the bases, and I had like a small water bottle, so I filled up. I got some Citi Field dirt, which one of my sons keeps in there. They share a room, but anyway, they share the dirt too. So whew, put it all aside, Tommy D. Let's get to the guest. So on this program, we do a couple things. I bring special people from special organizations to tell their story, and as I like to say, amplify their message. And I believe that nonprofits change our world each and every day. If it wasn't for nonprofits, I always say, well, then who does the work? I was involved with the Long Island Imagine Awards, or I have been for many, many years. So yesterday we had, what I was going to say was there's so many Long Island nonprofits. I didn't know anything about Mama's House until Heather said to me the other day, "Tommy D, you got to have Mama's House on the show," and that's where we are. But I was going to say yesterday we were working on a meeting with the New York City Imagine Awards, going through the applications. The semifinalists will be announced on Monday. So super exciting time for the Long Island Imagine Awards just ending. The New York City Imagine Awards is in full flex right now. So much going on in nonprofits. I want to get into this conversation with Deirdre and Patricia. So Pat Shea. Pat, check this out. Here's what we're going to do. My mother's maiden name is Feeney. Okay. All right, F-E-E-N-E-Y. So now if you had that on last four of my social, you could clean out all my millions of dollars, everybody. But my mother's maiden name. But then my Nana, yes, Nana, right? I might look like I would not have a Nana, but I do. I did. So Nana was Dolly Feeney, but before she was Dolly Feeney, she was Dolly Cox, C-O-X. So although I might not look it, I could connect with you all on back to the Emerald Isle. We could do that. We don't have to do that today. But anyway, I connect with you in that regard. And now I want to connect with you about the special work of this organization. Pat Shea.
Yes.
Why does this organization exist? What was what opportunity created itself? And then how did we get to this blessing of having your fifth child be in this business? And it is a business, nonprofits are businesses, but in this organization with you. Can you start us off on that story before I spend all of our first segment on just me ranting?
Okay. I used to do work. I used to take a lot of people into my home. Okay. If somebody was in need of a place to stay, we would take them in. Relatives, friends, people I didn't know, through church, through whatever. And so it was not unusual for us to have people living with us, even though I had a family. We took in a young woman through Birthright who was pregnant and who needed a place to stay while she was pregnant. She and her 5 siblings had been abandoned on a street corner in Freeport, and all the children were placed in separate foster homes, so they never knew each other and didn't grow up together. So when you are in foster care, you age out at a certain age and you have to leave. And so a lot of foster children wind up trying to create a family of their own. And this is what Judy was trying to do. So she got pregnant and she was told that she couldn't continue in foster care. So she came to live with me in my house. And we kept looking for a place for her to go to, like a rented room, or we knew we couldn't do an apartment.
Right.
She was on public assistance. She was pregnant and had no resources. Not your ideal tenant. And so when we went through all of the normal channels, then we went to the agencies and tried them. Is anybody going to do this? Does anybody have housing for mothers and babies, especially young mothers? no, no, no. We were turned down everywhere. And I send my friends out to start praying for this because that's my go-to.
Yes.
And so at some point in time, one of the men in a prayer group came forward and said, I'll try to help you out. I'll try to set something up. And the reason it came to that point was because when Judy was near the end of her pregnancy, she told me that she had found a rented room in Freeport and she knew that area. So I said, okay. And I said, but when the baby's born, and this was like 2 weeks before the baby was born, I said, when the baby is born, call me and I'll get you clothing and diapers and wipes and whatever I can to help you out. And so she called me and told me that her son, Thomas, was born. Robert was born, and that they were back at the rooming house. And in that rooming house, she said there are 9 men living and her. The 9 men were people who were out on probation, parole, people who were drug and alcohol addicts who were in treatment, supposedly, constant fighting every night, transients, people who came and went. It was filthy beyond belief because when I got there with all the stuff I was bringing her, there was no hot water. There were no lights in the stairway. The refrigerator didn't work. And she was in a room where she had to prop a dresser against the door at night. And the baby could only sleep in a dresser drawer. And I said, Judy,
not the environment. That's not what you were looking for. That's not what you prayed for, Pat. That wasn't it.
I said, this is a gift from God, and this is not where he thought this is going to wind up. So I offered to take her back. She said, give me a little more time. And I said, I will. But I said, you've got to, this can't go on. It's too dangerous here for both of you. So she called me a week later and she said, would you watch Robert for me while I go to the doctor? And I said, sure. And she brought him over, and she didn't come back that day. And she didn't come back the next day. And I never saw her again. And I thought, for the lack of a decent place to live, this woman had to give up her child in the worst way possible.
You never saw her again to this day?
Never saw her again. So what happens in a situation like that, I have no birth certificate, no social security number, no consent to have the child see a doctor. I had nothing. So I had to contact the Department of Social Services, and they said they would have to place him in foster care. And the cycle began again.
Right again.
And I said, oh no, this is not right. And I'm not going to do this. And so I started reaching out to the community. And when this man came forward and said, I always knew that housing was a problem for young pregnant women, but this made it very clear that this is what I was supposed to be doing. So he found a house for us in Wantor, and he said, I'll let you have it rent free while you see if there's a need for this program. I already knew there was a need.
So he's the benefactor. He's giving this opportunity. He, out of the grace of God, out of the goodness of his heart, whatever it is, his compassion and love. And he didn't even know that the need actually existed, but you knew it existed, right?
Yeah. He took it on faith.
He took it on faith. All right. We're going to take on faith. We got to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back because I think this is a good place to leave him. We're going to leave him right on the edge, Pat. What happened next? Come back. You'll have to find out. We'll be right here waiting for you.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
That's right. Oh man. After all these months or after all these years, that song still gives me a chuckle. I still laugh a little bit about Join Tommy in his attic because that started out as just like a joke, like early COVID, I was like in my attic. And then I decided to do this show, and we did this show. First ever episode was actually on my Uncle Ricky's birthday, January 8th, 2021. And now every Friday I do the show ever since, but it's in my attic. I literally am in the top of the house, just below the roof, like in the attic. That's where I am. So it's funny. So I'm excited to be in the attic. I'm excited to be anywhere. All right, Pat Shea, as a college student, you spent several months as a missionary in Mexico where you witnessed desolation, poverty, and its effect on children. You returned to the States and to make a difference in the lives of the society's most vulnerable. You're a social worker. I'm going to just say something, Pat. Sometimes I just say things that pop into my head. Most times I just say things that pop into my head. I could tell that you have faith. I'm assuming it's Catholic faith. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So I'm class of 96, little high school in Mineola called Chaminade.
Chaminade.
That's Crimson and the Gold, right? So was raised Catholic. I remember my Nana taught me the Our Father, the prayer, many, many years ago. My question or my point is, I have a friend. Her name is Dr. Dorothy Martin Neville. She's out of Southie in Boston, and she was a Catholic nun. And then she's an incredible motivational speaker, a coach, a trainer, psychotherapy, all these really, really special things she does. But she was a nun at her young age. How connected are you to? I think nuns are the coolest, man. We had a nun in our family, my Nana's cousin, and I will tell you, Sister Tisa Fitzgerald is a friend of mine. Founded an organization called Our Children in Long Island City, HOUR, that works with moms when they're incarcerated. Really, really special organization. In the past, they were a client of ours. When I say ours, I mean Vanguard Benefits, our agency. And nuns are like the coolest, man. Like, are you connected to sisters in any way? I don't know why, but it's coming to me. Call it divine intervention, but it's coming to me. Is there a connection there with you and sisters?
Well, first of all, I'm completely Catholic school educated, right
Right on.
up into graduate school.
Uh-huh.
So, and I was supposed to be a math teacher in high school, and I went to do my student teaching in a public high school, and I nearly dropped dead. I said, "This is how school is run when you're not in a Catholic school." In any event, when I came back from Mexico, I did approach a lot of different places to and decided that I should be a social worker because that's where my heart lay.
I love it.
And I think that right now our office is in a former convent.
Yeah. I saw that when I was looking on the website. I want to get into all that too. I want to get back to the story with this young woman and the man in the house and the whole thing. But I want to ask Deirdre a question. Deirdre, growing up in a family that was focused on reaching out, pulling people up, right? Not that the hand up, not the hand out. That's what I'm hearing from your mom. What was that like? That's just what we do, man? That's what the Shays do? Like, is that the deal?
Yes. So what she described as her home life with all the people we had who would come to us for help or people who would come live with us, that was my life growing up. It was the open house. It was everybody could come there, anybody who needed anything, whether it was just a break from whatever their home life was like, or they really had nowhere else to go. My entire life, we always had somebody in our home who we were helping out for a period of time, helping them get back on their feet, whether that be somebody, family related to us, cousins, or every single one of me and my siblings had a friend living with us at some point in our family home. We had an entire family of 4 living in our basement for a good chunk of my 5th grade year. You know, it was just normal. It
That's
was
just what it
what
is.
it was the example that was set from the beginning. And it didn't stop with our house. If there was a couch or a room free in grandma and grandpa's house or our aunts and uncle's house, she was putting somebody in that spot. So if anybody had a spot, everyone was getting a place to stay.
You know, it's funny. I was gonna let you guys know where I live, but I'm not anymore. Because
You have to watch out. She
I'm
will
afraid
do it.
I might try to come up to the attic and there'll be, you know, a family of 4 living in the attic. And now
Yeah, there's better use for that spot. Somebody needs to live there.
I love you too.
So it was just the example set from the start, from the time I was born on. That was always the kind of work that she was doing, whether it be volunteer work or formally. When she started Mama's House, I was only 4 years old when she started the organization. So I really grew up with it my entire life. We were volunteers, whether we wanted to be or not. You know, we always had to be helping. And as I said when we were talking earlier, you know, we were moving furniture as soon as we could lift things. You know, we were filling up vans, and we were, you know, picking up donations and organizing and helping, you know, families and people in need in whatever way we could. So that was just our entire lives growing up.
I think you and I got a laugh out of it yesterday or the day before when we spoke, because I was saying, oh yeah, Heather and I rent U-Hauls and we do this stuff. She's like, yeah, well, that's what we do. I mean, you know, we rent trucks, we pick things up, you know, like that's how it is. I love that. Pat, what do you have to say about that? I mean, what was did you think of it in terms of like, my kids are gonna like just be, this is their paradigm. They're only gonna know this. Like, this is just how they're gonna live, right?
Yes, I wanted them to be raised in a family that is giving and not always taking.
Love that.
And I was raised in a family like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, I had a brother and sister who had muscular dystrophy and wheelchairs their whole life. So our family was an example for me that I tried to pass on to my children, because I had a handicapped child too. And that we just kept giving. And let me tell you, when you give, you get way more back.
100%, 100%. It's like a secret. It's like a secret of us who give, because I tell you, when I'm having a down day, sometimes I'll go volunteer, I'll go help out, I'll go do something, and I feel better about it. So like selfishly, I'm helping, but I end up feeling good about it. It's like a sneaky trick, man. Don't let anybody know we're doing it, man.
People always feel better when they are giving of light like this.
100%, 100%. I want to go back to this story. So this baby Robert is the catalyst. Judy is the mom, who we never hear from again, which is like a movie. Incredible. Yes. I do want to ask about Robert, but I want to ask the gentleman, I'll call him the benefactor. I don't know. Is he somebody we can call out by name? Or no?
I think so, but I don't want to do that.
Don't do that. So just
it's Joe. His name is Joe, but
Joe. That's a pretty common name.
He runs a sheet metal company. So
So Joe, is this goes back to 1986? Is that right? When
yes.
I look,
yeah.
86, by the way, we did start this conversation around Shea Stadium. The Metropolitans did win the World Series in 1986.
They did. It was the perfect year.
It was a good, I don't know. I'm not, Deirdre, don't answer this. I'm not going to ask how old you are, but I was born in 78. So in 86, I was like 7-ish. So I kind of remember being in my parents' kitchen in Franklin Square, like on this little TV, like a little TV. And it was like a TV that you could prop up and move around the house. And we were watching the game. But again, I was a baby, so I don't really remember. But I obviously
I also do not want to alienate any other team fans.
Okay, that's right. We love everybody here. Wow, you are such an inclusionist. Hashtag inclusion, Pat. We love you, Yankee fans. We'll help you too. Whatever. Oh, thanks a lot, Pat. But not the Phillies, right?
Well,
no, it's okay. We can alienate the Phillies.
There we go, Deirdre. That's what it is. Everybody's a little bit evil. Everybody can be a little. So
it balances us. We're more interesting if we've got a little something going.
100%, 100%. So, what happens? This man gives you the house, or here's this house in Wantor. Go figure it out, Pat. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something here, right?
That's exactly the way it was.
Yeah.
I got some people to give me some money to if I raise this amount of money, they'll give me this amount of money, you know, those kind of matching grant.
Sure.
And I got all my friends who, you know, after a while, when I was looking for a house, I used to tell everybody I was looking for a 5-bedroom house near public transportation. I'm still looking for that. So it was constant conversation. So much so that people were starting to avoid me, they're thinking,
Oh
oh my
yeah.
God, here she comes
There she
again.
is. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I tell this story to illustrate how focused I was. I was in the supermarket and there was a lady standing next to me in the frozen food section. And I'm telling her my whole story, how I need a 5-bedroom house. And she's trying to tell me she's deaf. And I am oblivious.
No, Pat, I know that lady. She's not deaf. She didn't want to hear you talk. That's different. That's the story. So what did you start doing? Did you start signing once you realized she's deaf? You had to.
I know. I just walked away as quickly as possible because I'm so embarrassed now. I've completely lost control over this. But in any event, it was that kind of focus, I think, that got us to be the first house, that Joe came forward and said, I'll give you this house to use for 4 years. See if it's necessary. I'll renovate it for you. And I got volunteers to work for the first 7 years. Every single person that worked at Mama's house was a volunteer. Around the clock, it was nonstop. And this one, I tell this one story, this man, every time we have moved or added a house, we get the community involved in helping us renovate the house and decorate it and furnish it, etc. And that has proved to be a benefit to creating a base of people that believe in the program and help it go forward.
I want to ask you about that because that's so critically important because that to me is community, right? And it sounds like certainly your home there was community, and Deirdre and I got a kick out of that. All the people coming and going, and that, right? That's community. There's this acronym. I'm big on acronyms. This one I don't really like. It's called NIMBY. Not in my backyard, right?
Yeah,
hate that one. Hate it. So I think you all were going into the community, making friends, looking for support, building community, probably with the foresight thinking, not only do I need to build community, I also need to build some alliances here so people are not saying not in my backyard, right?
Right.
Was that part of it?
Yes, absolutely. We held neighborhood meetings every time we've opened a house, and we've informed people in the community what we're trying to do. And we've asked them, to come forward and let me know if they have an objection, and also do they want to help. And more people wanted to help than wanted us out. So
I love that's so great. Do you think that's a result? Because that's not all the time and that's not everywhere. So
No.
do you think that's because of I'm just gonna say it, your tenacity and your passion and you coming in and like explaining it? Or what was it that why they would yeah.
First of all, I think that they need to trust the speaker. So they need to trust who I am and what my goals are. So you have to present with a plan and an idea, not just, oh, this is what I'm going to do. It's like, how am I going to do it? And I did have a long social work history, so I knew how to do a lot of this, but nobody had ever started this kind of program. There was none, and there still is none for young single mothers and their babies.
There's still no program other than your program for young single mothers and their babies. So
Right.
what is the alternative? Judy's story? Like, is that what we're going to do as a society? We're going to have this young mother who is fraught with shame and guilt and doesn't know
Right.
what to do and can't provide for her child. So she has to leave the child. Like gang, I'm now here he goes. He's getting on the soapbox. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Like that's it. Some of this stuff sounds very basic and like this is what we should be doing fundamentally.
I think one of the ways to combat this problem is to strengthen the family of this woman who's pregnant so that they can provide for this family member in this time of crisis. It's not always possible, but when it is, we try to work on that.
You know what the challenge? Yeah, sorry.
So that she doesn't have to come into care of any kind, that she can stay there.
I agree with you when there is a family, but when you talk about like, and I had a gentleman named Robert Shear on the show, Comfort Cases, and they send out comfort cases, these big duffel bags full of supplies to foster children, because you mentioned in Judy's case, if I'm correct, she was in the foster system. So at 18, right, or this young person is now out who has now. Let me tell you something, gang. I'm gonna share some secrets. I don't share a lot of secrets on the show, but I didn't move out of my parents' house till I was 28 and had a full-time job. And when I moved out of the house, I was marrying this woman and moving in with her into an apartment we bought out in Queens. My point is saying, at 18, no freaking way did I know what I was doing. And I had two parents that I grew up in the home with, and I still didn't have it. At 46, things are sort of coming together now. I think I figured out a lot of things. But you know, you could talk to my wife and she might differ from that, but in that opinion. But the thing about it is, at that time at 18, without the support, many of these children, and they are children at 18, 19, 20 years old, become homeless. And you said they're
Yes.
looking to create a family. They end up on the street and they end up into different activities and again, there's not the support there. So that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother show, which just means maybe
Right.
you go back and we talk about it again, because that to me is critically important to point to in Judy's story, which Judy is a real person, but Judy's just a one story of thousands of stories like
That's
this, right?
right.
So we're gonna take a quick break, which we have to do. When we come back, I wanna dive into a little bit about Deirdre and your stuff and your background and social work and things like that. And kind of, St. John, shout out to the Red Storm. They used to be called the Red Men back in the day. Shout out to the Red Storm. I actually won a basket last week filled with St. John's paraphernalia. This is probably an organization that you're familiar with. Are you familiar with Newground?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So Shannon Boyle is a very good friend. I was at her golf outing last Monday. I played in the golf outing. I won like 4 or 5 baskets. And it's not because I'm so lucky. It's because I buy the most tickets. That's
Yes.
my secret. So if you want to know my secret, Tommy D, how do you win so much? Well, because I'm really good at this game, I say to people. And they go, how are you good at the game? I go, I buy the most freaking tickets, man. That's how I'm good.
That's
So
my husband's strategy.
he does it too. So he
Yeah.
knows what's up. I can hang out with him. He's good. So I want all this St. John swag. But the problem is, at the biggest I've ever been in my life is now. I don't fit into double X t-shirts. Everything was double X. So now I got to find somebody who's double X to get all the St. John's gear. Anyway, has nothing to do with the show. But if you're a fan of the show, that is the show. Something pops into my head and I say it. So you have your social work degree. I'm sorry. Bachelor's degree from St. John's University, master's degree in social work from NYU, which we will talk. Oh, and also an advanced certificate in nonprofit leadership from LIU CW Post. Deirdre Trumpy, when we come back, we're going to hear from you on some of that. And obviously, Mom inspired you in a lot of ways to do this work. But, I want to hear your story and how it relates to the organization. The show is called Philanthropy and Focus. I'm called Tommy D, which is ironic because my name is Roger. It's not, it's Tommy D. I'm kidding. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
All right, gang, I'm back. Your boy is back. This will be the mellow segment. I'm going to be very mellow in this segment. I'm going to be very calm. Little namaste in the attic. All right, so no, I'm not. I'm just kidding with y'all. All right, so check it out. Go to the website, mamashouse.org, mamashouse.org. I am located, the attic is located very close to some of the Mama's House locations, which I didn't realize, but now I know that. So we'll have to talk about that. I would love to come by for a visit. I want to go back to something I said right before the break. By the way, I'm just going to say this. Are we having fun in this show today or what, Pat? Deirdre, really?
I'm enjoying it tremendously.
I
Your
appreciate it. I'm
energy
enjoying
is admirable.
Thank you.
Friday morning energy, yeah.
That's it. Let's go, baby. I appreciate your company. I really appreciate your company. This is so fun. So I was talking about your background, Deirdre. Obviously, you took over just recently as executive director of the organization 2023. You were my first connection, 48, 49 hours ago to this organization when Heather Edwards sent out that email. And why? I mean, let me ask you this: Are your four siblings, are they involved with the organization?
No, I'm the only one.
Why?
Yeah.
Why, Deirdre? What
It's
happened?
interesting, right? It
Yeah.
took 5 to get a replacement for her.
I believe. Listen. I could have believed it could have took 10. Let's be honest. That's what we're talking about here. Unbelievable. Take it away, Deirdre.
Everybody's been involved, throughout our lives. We've all were involved in Mama's House as we were growing up, and in all the work that Pat did. We all have that volunteerism, and everybody contributes and supports the organization in my family. But I'm the only one who went into this field of work, who decided.
What was it? What was it that drew you? Do you have children?
I do. I have 2 kids. Yeah.
And do you mind if I ask how old they are?
5 and 3.
So you've been in with this work way before you had kids.
Way longer. And
Yeah.
I tell you, it brought me a whole new appreciation for what the moms that we work with really experience and go through, because I was in my 30s when I had my kids, and I was married, and I had stable housing, and I had a family support system, and it's still really, really hard.
Dude, it's tough.
It's the hardest job.
Only every day. Only every day.
Every single day. And I think, wow, I never really fully appreciated what an amazing and difficult job these women are doing when they have so much less than I did when I had my kids. And so it's really important. I understand the importance and the gravity of the situation that they're in, and how important it is that we are there to provide a support system for them when they don't have one.
Yeah. Well, when, in looking at this growing up, did you say, did you realize, I mean, obviously your education, as we talk about sociology and social work, a bachelor's from St. John's, master's in social work from NYU, and then on for an additional certificate in nonprofit leadership. While you're going down that path, you've obviously made some decisions, but prior to that, did you say, oh, I love what mom's doing here. I want to be with her. I want to be in this place and make this impact. Do you remember how young you were when you quote unquote made a decision?
Mm-hmm. So it's funny because I thought it was always my idea that I was going to do that. And then not long ago, I looked back at my 8th grade yearbook, and it said what you wanted to be when you grew up. And I think I wrote teacher or veterinarian or something. And I was like, I don't remember ever wanting to do that. But to me, it was always in my mind because I was just always with her. I was always, I was the baby, so I was the youngest. And so as she was getting this organization off the ground and building it over those young years of my life, I was just tagging along. I was constantly with her. And it was just, I was seeing firsthand the work being done from the ground up. And it was very impactful, obviously, on my development. And ultimately, I just decided, when I went to college and I had to pick a major, I thought, social work is the direction I want to go in. Yeah.
I love it. And that's usually the first part of the show. I always try to get to that point with somebody, what is the genesis story? Where does that come from? And, I don't know why this is popping up for me, but I grew up in Franklin Square. Right around the block was a bar, which when I was 19, I started attending bar at this place. But my uncle, Joe Graziano, owned this bar. And my younger brother, was almost 4 years younger than I am, was a little boy. And he would go with my uncle in the morning to clean the bar. Mm-hmm. Now, I just wonder, in these formidable years, how, just it's real stuff. I was 13 when I started working in a deli, right? And then I was 15 when I started working in bars and restaurants. All of that stuff has these very deep-rooted connections, I think, to what we end up getting involved with. Fortunately for you, and not that my brother is in the bar business, because he isn't, but I saw the parallels as you were telling that story.
Yeah.
That was your paradigm, man. You didn't know anything else but supporting and helping and educating. And I'm going to argue a little bit with you. In that 8th grade yearbook, when you wrote down teacher, I'm going to say you are a teacher. So I think you end up getting, so I don't know what do you do with animals, if you're a veterinarian or not at all, but but I believe that you really are a teacher, because even today, just telling these stories is impactful for other people, and the women you're dealing with and the children you're making an impact is really special. Pat, are we proud? I'm pretty proud, and I just met you both.
Oh, I'm proud of all my children, but I'm especially proud that Deirdre took this path, because otherwise I'd have to die here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking for an out.
Yeah,
So
well, you found one. You found one. You found a succession plan. Well done. Well done. I have to die here. That's the one. That's the soundbite we'll use. Otherwise, I'd have to die here. Okay. Not on my show, right, Pat? Okay. Good.
No, I'll wait to a break.
It's never happened before. No one's ever died on this show. Knock wood.
Well, see there, I could leave an impression.
You would. I will never forget you. We'll always remember. Remember that day?
You're never going to forget me anyway.
And I hope that's going to be the same, that you'll never forget me, because I'd like to be friends. So a couple weeks ago, I had on my friend Erica Floresca from Long Island Children's Museum, and it was a Friday morning. And at 10:35 that Friday morning, I think it was like April 5th, the whole house started to shake. And I thought the whole block, they're building some houses down the end of my block. I thought maybe a big truck came down. The truck was here for like 10 seconds and whatever. Long story short, there was an earthquake, and neither Erica nor I mentioned that there was like any shaking, and we both kind of just dealt with it and did the show. And I was like, that's so now we've had an earthquake. We have not had anybody pass away. So let's try to avoid that today as well as Pat.
I'll work on it.
This is a show, Pat. This is live. People are watching. This is what I do. So we're going to go to another break in a little while, but when we come back, I want to talk about what's upcoming for the organization. That's how we always kind of bring the show to a close, is what's upcoming? How can we get involved? I assume that the work you're doing is not enough for the need that's out there just yet. Is that fair? Right, with 4 homes? I'm going to gather, unfortunately, you probably need 24 homes, right? To
different kinds of different homes. We need specific focuses in each of these homes, so some need more time with us and some need less time. So that's
I want to talk about that when we come back, because that's kind of an ask we could put out there to the community. And Deirdre, I want to ask you from the perspective as, not new to the organization, but new in the role as the executive director. Has anything kind of changed through the lens now that you look at the operation?
I'm just trying to keep things going as well as they've been going under Pat for all of these years. It's 38 years now, so I don't want to screw it up. But also, certainly, I'm just looking to make sure we're following best practices. We're meeting the needs of the families in the current climate that we're living in. Things change over time. The needs of the people we're working with are changing over time, and I want to make sure we're continuing to improve our programs and services to meet those needs as best as we can.
So I want to drop another name before we go to a break. Last week I had on Katie Swanson. Do you know Katie Swanson?
Yeah. She's a friend.
I knew she would be. So Katie was on my show. I met Katie at the Long Island Imagine Awards, and she came on my show to talk about the very important work that Bethany House is doing. So, it's funny, like nonprofit is like years ago when we decided as a company, my company Vanguard Benefits, when we said we really want to be involved in nonprofit. Nonprofit just means a tax filing status, right? There's all these little like silos or swim lanes in our nonprofit sector, so like all the organizations that serve the intellectually developmentally disabled population, they're connected and they have relationship. Shout out to Jovia Financial Credit Union, Federal Credit Union. I'm playing in the golf outing for AHRC Suffolk County. It's a Hawaiian theme. I hope I could find a Hawaiian. Oh, I'm wearing one. I hope I could find a Hawaiian shirt to wear for the golf outing next week. Do you all have a golf outing for your organization?
No,
we would love to have one.
All right, we'll have
to run it.
Careful what you wish for. Let's figure out. And I don't mean me running it. I mean, golf outings aren't the greatest thing. They're great to do.
Yeah, we've looked into it. It's a big deal,
like what I'd want to do is figure out how much money we're trying to raise, and let's figure out an easier way to do it than that. Like that. We could talk about that.
Well, you stave those baskets from St. John's and go.
Yeah. All right. Break and then right back. And then what do we need? How can we help? All right. We'll come right back.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
And we're back. All right, the lightning round I like to say at the end of the show, because we always run out of time before we run out of words to say. And I always wanted to be a game show host, and maybe I am a game show host, and maybe this is a game show. I don't know. It's like, Pat, the game show could be like, I'm here. We run a great organization. Give us your money. Like, it could be like that. It could be empowering young mothers, promoting healthy birth outcomes, breaking the cycle of poverty. 3 bullet points. Great marketing. 3 bullet points. It's memorable. It's succinct. Every baby is deserving a stable and loving home. Every mother deserves the chance to give her child a good beginning, a warm bed, and a healthy life. Mama's House makes it possible for young mothers to raise her baby in a caring and supportive environment while she works towards reaching her full potential and develops her role as a mother. If you're only listening as a podcast gang, go to the website, MOMMAShouse.org, mamashouse.org. I'm going to take the screen share off and see my friends on the screen again, but there's something else I want to read here. Organization started in 1986. They operate multiple residences in Nassau County. That is where I hail from and still sit to this day. Nassau County, to provide transitional housing, emergency shelter, and permanent housing to young mothers and babies in need. Support services are provided by staff, social worker, in addition to 24/7 on-site house managers. These women need to be made to feel safe. They need to be known that they're cared for, and they need to be able to provide that safety and care for their children. And without the support of an organization like yours, they just can't do it, right? I mean, this is kind of the basics, man. This is the fundamental stuff. So, when I say basics, it's not to make it like this is easy stuff. It's to make it like this is the stuff I believe we're supposed to be doing. Like we're supposed to reach out. We're supposed to support each other. It's just, Pache, if it's not for people like you, right, things like this don't happen. If it's not for people like Deirdre, who watched at your shins, like walking next to you, watching you change the world. Oh, where's my mug? Here, there's my mug somewhere around here. It says, no big deal. Oh, there it is. Here it is. No big deal. Just changing the world. That's what I said. No big deal. No big deal. Just making the world a better place. Pache, you win the coffee mug. I don't think I've given this out as an award. Like, you can't really have it. It was a gift. But like, you can look at it. You can look at my mug. What's upcoming for the organization? I mean, you said there's specific types of housing. Pat, you mentioned the last segment. Whoever wants to take it, Deirdre, Pat, up to you. Pass or, so now it is like a game show. Pass or play, Pat. Pass or play.
All right. So
Deirdre,
right now we do operate 3 types of programs. We have an emergency shelter program. So we take people who come through the Nassau County Department of Social Services who are in need of shelter, young women between 18 and 24 years old who are pregnant or parenting. So it's the same population. across all our programs. That's who we're focused on serving. We have our transitional housing program where we are, people are walking in and seeking placement with us on their own, or they're referred through somebody who knows about our program. Same population, they could stay in our home for up to 2 years while they're working on school, working on job training, getting employed, and preparing to live independently by learning, the skills that they need to do that. And then we do have a small permanent housing program. It's just one house we have right now. It's a 2-family home. So we have 2 families that can live there at a time, but the families that have lived there for several years now because it's permanent housing.
Right.
And they can live there for as long as it is financially, beneficial for them. It goes in line with their income, and it provides a subsidized rent and like light touch support services to help them keep moving forward. But we are actually looking for another house to purchase right now. So I'll put that out there. We are looking in kind of the Southwest Nassau area. We need a large house, like 5 bedrooms or more, near public transportation, near stores, near kind of like central downtown areas that people can get around.
I've heard somebody has been asking for 38 years for a
Yes.
5-bedroom house near
It's literally our repeat message all the time.
Hey, Pat, I don't know you got to ask it differently. It's not,
No, it's just we're always looking for another house. It's always the case. So we're looking for another house now. We're ready to
shout out
one if the right house comes along.
Well, let's shout out. If I do Southwest, I'm thinking, Floral Park, Franklin Square, Hempstead, West Hempstead, maybe Garden City, thing like that's where that area. So shout out some other towns.
Roosevelt, Uniondale, Freeport, even it's all all.
Roosevelt, Uniondale, Freeport. So Baldwin
would be great.
Like somewhere along, and again, you think of Baldwin, you think like Merrick and Sunrise, and the train is there. You got Long Island Railroad, right? And you need
train, you need bus, you need stores, because the moms we're working with are not driving. They don't have a car. It's one of the things we work with them on while they're in our program, but they don't come to us with those things and those resources. So we got to be able to be in a place where they can easily go to school from, they can go to work from, they can get to doctor's appointments and get to the store and get what they need. So that's the location, preference.
So thank you. In that case, though, I'm hearing you say, the organization is looking to purchase a home, not say, hey, handout here, right? So the organization
We've got money. We've been fundraising. We have the money. Yeah.
That's what I want to know. So that's incredible, because that's like, gang. So if you're in real estate, okay, and you're connected to me, and you're listening now, you should be thinking,
get us a good deal.
It's like, work it out. We'll work out a deal, man. That's what it is, right? No big deal. Just making deals. No big deal. Just making deals. I like that. But that's the thing. Like, what if somebody comes to the table and brings that 5-bedroom home that you've been looking for? What is the impact, everybody? What is the ripple effect? I always talk about that.
I'll tell you what it is.
Please do.
We've been going for 38 years. We've already been able to see it. So we've seen babies who were born at mama's house graduate from college, get their own careers going, buy their own homes, start their own families. So we're being able to see how if you help the mom, you will help all future generations of that family have a more successful life moving forward. You're raising the bar for that family. You're raising the expectations and the outcomes for that family. When they see mom graduate, when that baby, we just had a girl last week that Pat attended. When she was with us in mama's house, she started on the path to nursing. She did a CNA program, basic entry-level nursing career. She now just graduated like 7 years later with her RN. She's graduated from mama's house many years ago and been living on her own, but she kept going to school, kept going to college. Pat got to attend her college graduation from her RN. And it's just a dream. Her child is with her that whole time. He's watching this happen. He's watching his mom working hard and accomplishing her goals. And they're going to have an amazing life now. She's an RN. She's going to have a great career. She's going to make a lot of money. She's going to be able to support them. And it's an amazing outcome for that family. I just, as we were on this radio show, got an email about a girl we have living with us right now who we are paying for her to go to college. We're paying her tuition. She just got on the honors program. So we know we can have real positive impacts on the women that we're helping, and it's only going to ripple to their children
100%.
Future outcomes for their families.
It says the last bullet point on your website says breaking the cycle of poverty.
Right.
You know, Shannon Boyle, who we mentioned earlier, breaking the cycle of homelessness, right? Specifically as it is veterans, they serve veterans, experiencing home. That's a whole nother show. And I've done several shows on that because that's a travesty that there are veterans living in the woods here on Long Island. Because anyway, stop, Tommy, bring it back. Okay, I will. So, I like that. I have like this conversation with myself. That's funny, right? Pat. Pat, what do you think about the future of this organization in 30 seconds?
I think we're not going anywhere, apparently. I never thought it would last this long. I started this on my dining room table, and I can't believe that I actually have my own office now with a window. So I'm so excited to see the growth that's gone on all these years, and I think we'll keep growing. We need another house, and we will get it. I know we will. In God's good time, it'll happen. And I think because we both, Deirdre and I, and all the staff here at Mama's House work very hard and are very committed to seeing a good outcome for these moms. I was helping this young woman apply for law school who was in our program. When she graduated from our program, graduate,
yeah,
she was living in the Bronx. She ran for the Bronx, New York City Council. She was on that. Then she decided she was going to go to law school. So I wrote her a reference letter. She got into every law school she applied to. She just finished her first semester. She's sending me her marks. This is just as much joy in my life as watching my own kids.
Own children, right? Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have a young woman who wrote a book about, a memoir of her life. And she grew up in a crack house. And she said at one point she went from a crack house to Mama's House, and her whole life changed.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't. You get Pat. You're killing me over here. I'm gonna cry. Good thing the show's almost over.
Well, I hope so.
I'm gonna cry. I'll go cry.
That's the point.
That is, you're doing it. You did it to me. All right. Why is it called Mama's House after you? Is that where it comes from?
No, it's after Mary R. Model Mothering Adolescent Services. It means so. Mary was a homeless young mother when she was giving birth, and so she wound up in a stable. Some of our mothers wind up in people's basements or living in their cars or out on the street. And sometimes when, I had a young woman write a letter to me and say, last night I was sleeping on a friend's couch. They had no cushions. And tonight I have my own bed, my own pillow, and my baby is in a crib sound asleep.
Oh my God. We got to leave it here. Pat, thank you for being on this planet at the same time I'm here, because you're changing my life just by knowing you. You're impacting incredible people like your incredible daughter who you've impacted, who's running this organization with a great mentor to lead her through what's going on. I'm excited to meet you in person very soon. We'll have to make that happen. Last thing I'll say, the website is MOMAS. Mama's House, MOMMAS house.org, mamashouse.org, or just hit up your boy on Instagram, TommyD.NYC, or send me an email, TommyD@philanthropyinfocus.com, which is PHOCUS. My buddy Steve Fry has a show coming on right after me. It's called Always Friday. Pat, thank you for being my friend. Deirdre, thank you for being my friend. Heather Edwards, I love you. If you didn't make this connection, this doesn't happen. Make it a great day, gang. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.